Good afternoon. It's Sunday, and believe it or not, I think today we are finally going to finish this eagle, get it checked off the list, and make room for the next kit in the line. I've got just a scant few details to finish. I've got to put in the window treatments on this side. These ones have been done. I got to finish off those. I'm going to do a little bit of weathering on the bottom, because every time that every time these came down, they kicked up a lot of moon dust underneath them. So I think some gray dust around the landing gear will help. And I need to put the windows in here, and then there's some final little detail that needs to be painted a dark gray. I'm not going to paint it a black for reasons I've already gone on about. And what I'm going to do, I don't like the way that this is held in place with these little nubbins, for lack of a technical term. I'm trying to do this with one hand, sorry. These little nubbins right here, they scrape against the decals and they bend the spine a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is sand those down, not completely, but certainly some. And then I am going to put some magnets from K&J Magnets. This is where I got these from. They were dirt cheap for as many of them as I got. And you can still see plenty of them in there. And they're strong little Dickenses. So what I'm going to do is probably just make a couple magnet mounting points there in the center. I don't know whether to go all four corners or whether to go in the center or not. I'll have to figure out that logistically. I may go one in each of the four corners and mount it probably at that fat point there, since that's got the most bite. I might just flatten off a spot there and mount them. So let me get the rest of the vinyl on, and we'll pick it up again. I've got all of the window vinyl in, and I may not have mentioned this, but when I'm putting them in, you want to be very careful, since this vinyl is going to stay forever and ever, that you don't go poking a lot of holes in it with the X-Acto knife when you're working with it. I have a tendency to want to pull them off of the sheet with an X-Acto knife, and then maybe use a toothpick to handle it, to get it in place. And then I burnish it down. I burnish it down with a Q-tip, and this cleans it off and gets it into the corners and all that kind of good stuff. But it's a softer approach to it than what I typically do with vinyl, which is to use an X-Acto knife a lot. But that's all of them. And yeah, I got that nice even border around the bottom and around where the windows would be. And I think the next step is going to be to glue the pods in, because I've never actually glued them in. I've only kind of fit them in with gravity. So that's the next step. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this, but I've got two little notches here in the center that I've dremeled out and trimmed. And sweetened up with an X-Acto, but mostly just dremeled out. And I'm going to CA some magnets into those two spots. And I learned an interesting trick about how to work with magnets. I'm sure many of you already know this. Nope, don't try to put a single magnet into place. You let the magnet be attached to the ones above it. You put a drop of CA in the hole, and then you put the whole stack in there, and then after it's dry, you snap the one off. You don't try to just gingerly put one magnet in there. Again, you guys probably know that, but that was just something I was taught that made a lot of sense after I thought about it. So let me glue the magnets in, and we'll be right back. And here you can see the magnets glued into place here on the spine. They don't stick out all that much. They look kind of nice. I may put a dollop of white paint around the outside edge to kind of camouflage them, but looks fine. I'm going to put a drop of accelerant on there to keep them in place. But there you go. Now the next thing to do is to match them up to what's going to go on the top here, and that's easy enough by putting I'm putting some magnets on the actual magnets that are stuck there, and a little dollop of white paint, or you could use white out something. You could even take just a Sharpie and just mess them up a little bit, so that when you put this in place over top of it, because those are raised, they will transfer to the exact spots where you want to drill your holes. Because I'm going to put holes here where the magnets, holes here where the magnets are going to be recessed into. So that's the next step. And here you can see I'm putting the corresponding magnets into the top of the module. And really no big secret on how to do this. I started wheedling a hole, corresponding hole with an X-Acto, and once I got it down to about the right size, I would carve it out, test, carve it out, test, carve it out, test, till it just barely fits in there without forcing, because basically all that's holding it in place is the CA. And what you see here is, one, I pulled the rest of the magnets off, but here you can see what it is. It's a stack of 3 magnets, 2 that I can using for handles, and a third one that's actually down in the hole. And then once the CA has dried, I'm just making sure that there's no CA on the any of the magnets except for the one that's in the hole. I don't want to glue the magnets together. Again, this is kind of tough to do with one hand. So there's just one magnet on there. Right, I've got, nope, there was no CA on that. I just needed to get to it. So now I have 2 magnets on the top, and let's see if the magic works. Actually, what I want to do is sit this up on someplace that's higher. Okay, and I'll pretend our eagle is docking, and down it comes. And I've got it on backwards. I mistakenly did not align both magnets to be the same way, so it only fits on one way. Ta-da! And now it's magnetically attached, that I can take it off if I want to create another module for this. All I need to make sure is that the magnets are in the same spot on that, and I can swap them out. But it's in place, it's being held, and now all I gotta do is I gotta put the cross on here and the little thrusters that go on here and a little bit of weathering, and it will be done. So let me go do that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the complete eagle. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I know it's an overwrought theme, but something I took a long while to get here. In between other projects, getting this eagle finished, and now that it's done, it's looking quite pretty. Here's the neatest part, as far as I'm concerned. The bases are the rescue module is done with magnets, and just by sitting it here and putting the eagle over top of it, one quick little push down, it snaps up in place, and da-da-da-da-dun, it is ready to crash land onto the surface of the moon. And one tiny little push down at the center disengages it. Push on the center, the magnets are strong enough to suck it right up in place. But this completes the original 2-kit build. No, the original 2-kit build was the Viper and the NX, I think. The Viper is done. Dun dun dun. Except for weathering, which, like I said, not my deal. The Eagle is done. No lighting in it, but you know, a fun enough kit as it is. It's kind of a warts and all kit because there are some fundamental problems with it that we're not going to get solved by this repop of the original kit. I mean, there's the detail on either side of the pod that was never addressed except with a decal. The detail on the bottom, they were handled with decals this time as opposed to being really done with you know, anything close to a retooling. And believe it or not, work has progressed on the NX-01 2.0. All the construction is done. The deflectors are in. The cells are on. Now all that's left to do is some seam patching and then some extensive decaling, which I don't really feel like doing today. I'll work on the seams a little bit, but we'll come back and do the decals a little bit later. And then that will finish the build on this. Here you can see the Aztecing a little bit better. I've got some paint touches to do to that. And then I can concentrate all of my time on the Kirk and Spock Maquettes. I've been having a blast again with those this weekend, adding a lot of detail to the helmets that wasn't really, well, it wasn't included in the original molding, or the original piece. So let me stop here and I'll go out and show you that. And we're back with the maquette helmets. And you can see all of the work that has been done. I added all of that detail down in there. Going back and looking at the screen caps from Rathacon, there were two panels here that weren't accounted for in the original mold, and I just simply made those with epoxy sculpt. Back here, this piece, I'm trying to do this with one hand, this piece here wasn't high enough. It stopped about there, so I need to build the rest of the height up, and then make this greebly detail, and then attach this box here that I've yet to add more greebly details onto. And then there's the details added to the second side. And now I've got to touch the orange paint up again over these new panels. This is primer. And let me grab the cream colored helmet. You can see the same amount of work that's been done on it. Added that detail to the bottom, added those plates, added a box, and then the greeblies, and then again more to that side. And that's the kind of fun I've been having this weekend. So now I need to put the new coats of paint, the new almond color paint and the new orange paint on this, and hit these guys. So all in all, it's been a good weekend. One last thing before I close this out is I want to show you what the white pinstripes turned out like on Spock. I think they were very effective, and so here you go. Okay, here you see, forgive the bit of a mess, I'm sorry. I'm kind of working all over the house at this point. But you could see the white pinstriping, or actually it's fatter than a pinstripe, but the stripe that goes up the knee, up the leg, it starts at the foot, goes up through the knee and up to the waist, and then follows over onto the chest pack. And that white detail really helps define the the color breaks between the orange and the brown. And I've started working on getting these metal colors in here and on here. So we're really coming down to the detail work now. I've come up with an idea that I think is going to be neat as far as the helmets and that is I think I want to power a light inside the helmet. I don't think I'm going to put the thruster lights on back here, but I want to attach the helmet and use magnets to attach the helmet to keep it in place, but also to power it. So I'm going to run contacts to each magnet, and then as it makes contact with the, and have battery power in here, run up 2 wires, and as the helmet is attached, it's sort of like a reverse refrigerator door. When the helmet's attached, the contacts will create a circuit, and that will light up the helmet. But when you remove the helmet, the lights come off. And I've got to add the details back in here. And there's some another round of orange needs work there because I had some dings that need to be fixed, and I want to go over that brown on the back again. But ever decreasing circles means we're getting ready to tighten up the details after every round. So that's it for this weekend. I'm going to get this cut together and upload it, and I'll see you when I see you. I fooled you, I'm back. Wanted to give you one last look at the Kirk maquette. I didn't mean to leave it out. I've got to go back and repaint the black pinstriping here, but you can see the arm has got the black stripe on it, and again that metal work. And I've got to paint these control lights, and you see the back patch is nice, and here's with the helmet in place, you get a kind of get an idea of what it looks like from the back. And there you go. Okay, now I'm going to close it out for the weekend. I hope you all have a good week and go outside and play. Sorry, I jerked you around again, and I didn't mean to. While I was here, I thought I would show you some progress on making molds. This was a piece that I made, scratch built, for the back of the chest pack. It goes just below the it goes just below the helmet, and making one is fine, but if I need 2 of them identical, I decided to make one and then make a mold of it to cast the other one so that I would have 2 that were alike and I didn't have to scratch build 2 of them. This is the mold, 2-part mold. All these wasted days of watching Steve and other people make molds, some of that must have sunk in because it actually works. Here's the rubber mold, and here you can see the only thing I don't have any Alumalite or anything. All I have is crystal clear casting material, so that's what I'm casting this in clear. But you can see the negative mold. This has been sitting in it since this morning, and it'll be, I guess, till tomorrow morning before I can demold it. I'm not in any rush to take that out, so I'll let it sit up good and well. But that's the clear piece sitting in the mold. Pretty neat when you can watch somebody else do something and learn how to do it and then make it yourself. I was quite enamored of that idea. So until next week, when I hope to have an update of not only Kirk and Spock, but the robot, the B9 robot, and all things being equal, I will get the decals on the NX-01, and that will finally be finished. Then I will have a true wrap-up of the 2-kit build, and I can make a dedicated report just about these Kirk and Spock maquettes. Till then, I'm Lou. See you then.